10 years ago, on an otherwise normal weekday morning, Steve Forbes was face to face with an NCAA investigator, staring at a picture he'd never seen and didn't even know existed 20 minutes earlier. Bruce Pearl, then the coach at Tennessee, was in it. Aaron Kraft, a one-time UT recruit, was in it. The photo was taken during a cookout at Pearl's home that violated NCAA rules. So Forbes, then an assistant under Pearl, suddenly found himself in an impossible situation. He could either be evasive or effectively rat on his boss, and ratting on his boss wasn't an option he seriously considered.
"You do that in this business, and you are done," Forbes later told me. Blackballed.
So Forbes went with evasive.
And you likely know the rest of the story.
Once Pearl realized he was caught, he held a press conference and publicly acknowledged he and his staff misled the NCAA about the circumstances surrounding the photo. A notice of allegations followed, and after the subsequent season, the 2010-11 campaign, the entire staff, Forbes included, was fired and punished with show-cause penalties that would eliminate any chance of getting a new job at an NCAA member institution. In other words, Steve Forbes was 46 years old, married with 3 children, unemployed and unhireable at the major college level. And, if I'm being honest, in that time, the idea that he'd someday bounce back and become the leader of an ACC program seemed way unlikely.
But here we are.
Steve Forbes, now 55, was named Wake Forest's new coach Thursday.
"You're the first call I've made as the head coach of the Demon Deacons," Forbes told me Thursday afternoon, at which point I asked what he would have said if I would have told him, back in 2011, that he'd enter the 2020-21 season as the head coach of an ACC program.
"I would have laughed in your face and said, yeah, okay. Good one, Gary," Forbes answered. "I would have told you there's a better chance of me winning the Boston Marathon."
And yet here we are.
It's been a humbling climb.
After Forbes was fired in 2011, he landed a job as a junior college head coach at Northwest Florida State. All things considered, he was fortunate and thankful to have it. But the $60,000 annual salary represented a roughly 75% reduction in pay based on what he was making at Tennessee. So Forbes was stuck with a big house in Knoxville that he could no longer afford or sell. When I went to visit him in Florida, in the fall of that same year, Forbes told me he believed the house would eventually go into foreclosure.
Either way, he had a job to do.
And he did it well.
Forbes went 62-6 at Northwest Florida State in 2 seasons, at which point Greg Marshall, fresh off of a Final Four, and with Forbes's show-cause penalty in the past, offered him a job as an assistant at Wichita State. The opportunity to return to the Division I level, plus the salary increase, was too much to pass up. So Forbes joined Marshall's staff, spent 2 seasons there, then got the job at East Tennessee State, where he's spent the past 5 years winning consistently.
ETSU went 130-43 under Forbes.
He won 2 Southern Conference regular season titles, 2 Southern Conference tournament titles, never finished worse than 3rd in the league, and secured 2 bids to the NCAA tournament. So in his past 7 seasons as a head coach, 2 at Northwest Florida State, 5 at East Tennessee State, Forbes's record is 192-49. That equates to a winning percentage of 79.7. And that, combined with a proven track record of recruiting at the highest level of the sport, and a pre-existing relationship Wake Forest athletic director John Curry, is why Steve Forbes has gone from fired with an uncertain future to hired as the coach of an ACC program in less than a decade's time.
"It's an improbable turn of events.
It's a dream come true," Forbes said. "My wife, Janetta, bless her heart, we were talking last night, and she said, you do realize that Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams are in your league?" I said, "Oh, geez. Thank you for reminding me of that, honey. Now I probably won't sleep. But it is a dream come true."
Gary Parrish is an award-winning college basketball columnist and television analyst for CBS Sports who also hosts the highest-rated afternoon drive radio show in Memphis, where he lives with his wife. Full bio.